Hey everyone, welcome back to the hot seat. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest questions in global geopolitics. Is the United States Indo-Pacific strategy really containing China, or is Washington stretching itself too thin across the world? The Indo-Pacific isn't just about China. It's about the US trying to hold together an alliance system, secure trade routes, and protect its credibility as a superpower. But here's the big catch. Can America actually manage it all? Let's break it down. The Indo-Pacific isn't just a map term, it's the world's economic engine. Almost half of global trade passes through the South China Sea. The region has some of the fastest-growing economies, from India to Vietnam. For the US, the Indo-Pacific means three things: keeping sea lanes open, oil, gas, and goods flow through choke points like the Strait of Malacca. Balancing China's rise, Beijing's military, economy, and tech dominance directly challenge American power. Alliance credibility: if the US fails here, allies worldwide start questioning Washington's reliability. Washington has rolled out a web of military, diplomatic, and economic initiatives. The QUAD, United States, India, Japan, and Australia. Not a formal NATO, but a security dialogue aimed at balancing China. A UK-US, the submarine deal with Australia and the UK. This isn't just about submarines, it's about embedding tech sharing, AI, and military integration. Expanded bases, more access in the Philippines, closer military cooperation with Japan and South Korea, and deeper naval ties with India. Economic pitch: the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, IPEF, trying to pull countries closer without offering full trade access like old-school free trade agreements. China isn't sitting idle. Militarily, the PLA Navy has become the world's largest by number of ships. Artificial islands in the South China Sea now host airstrips, missile batteries, and radar. Economically, China is still the biggest trading partner for most Indo-Pacific nations. Belt and Road projects tie countries into Beijing's orbit. Diplomatically, China paints the US as an outsider stirring up conflict, while it presents itself as the regional power that belongs here. Taiwan is the biggest test case. The US is arming Taiwan with advanced missiles, drones, and F-16 upgrades. Both the Biden and Trump 2.0 administrations have made it clear: America won't let Taiwan fall. But here's the problem. Defending Taiwan is not easy. Chinese missiles could overwhelm island defenses within hours. US forces are far away, and any full-scale war would draw in Japan, maybe the Philippines, and potentially spiral into a global economic crisis. On paper, the US has strong allies. Japan is doubling defense spending. Australia is going all in with AUKUS. India is partnering in the QUAD. But the cracks are real. India wants autonomy. It won't be a US pawn. Southeast Asian nations like Vietnam, Indonesia, and Malaysia don't want to pick sides. Even Japan worries about being dragged into a US-China war it didn't choose. So while the alliance network looks strong, it's more fragile than it seems. One thing we often forget is that America's Indo-Pacific strategy isn't just about missiles and bases, it's about dollars and trade routes. China is the #1 trading partner for almost every country in Asia. The US simply can't compete dollar for dollar on infrastructure loans. That's why Washington shifted to tech partnerships, digital standards, and supply chain security. But here's the twist: countries in Asia don't want to lose Chinese trade or American security. So they're playing both sides, hedging their bets. That makes it harder for the US to lock in long-term loyalty. Here's the big question: can America really contain China and manage Europe, the Middle East, and domestic politics at the same time? Think about it. The US is still heavily invested in NATO after Russia's moves in Ukraine. Middle East tensions, from Iran to Red Sea shipping, still pull American forces. At home, debt, political polarization, and election cycles weaken long-term focus. The Indo-Pacific strategy risks being a balancing act where Washington tries to do everything, everywhere, all at once. History shows overstretch can break even the biggest empires. A hidden front in this contest is technology. Both the US and China see AI, cyber power, and semiconductors as the new nuclear weapons. The US is restricting chip exports to China, trying to choke Beijing's AI growth. China is pouring billions into quantum computing, hypersonic weapons, and surveillance systems. Allies like Taiwan and South Korea hold the keys to semiconductor production. If tech decides wars of the future, the Indo-Pacific is also a battlefield of innovation versus restriction, and this war is already underway. So, where does this go? 3 scenarios. Successful containment, the US, with allies, locks in a stable balance. China is deterred from attacking Taiwan, and sea lanes remain open. Regional war. A Taiwan crisis or South China Sea clash spirals into direct conflict. Costly for both sides, but devastating for global trade. Slow drift. The US remains present, but allies hedge, China gains influence, and Washington finds itself stretched too thin to enforce dominance. China plays long-term 5-year, 10-year, even 50-year plans. The US plays in election cycles. That's a built-in disadvantage. Unless Washington can create bipartisan, long-term strategies that survive leadership changes, Beijing may simply outlast the American presence. The Indo-Pacific isn't just about who has more carriers today. It's about who can sustain influence for decades. So, is America containing China or overstretching? Honestly, it's a bit of both. The Indo-Pacific strategy shows Washington is serious, but sustaining it without burning out is the real challenge. What do you think? Can the US hold its ground in the Indo-Pacific? Or is China playing the long game while America exhausts itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global geopolitics.